1 in 2 Americans will contract a sexually transmitted disease at some point in their lifetime, according to the Minnesota Department of Health. That statistic alone scares me. Think back to your middle school or high school days. Do you remember any sex education classes being taught? For many, the answer to that question is no. However, most of you would probably answer yes if you were asked if you had had sexual intercourse by the time you graduated high school. The Council of State Governments claims that about 52% of Missouri high school students were sexually active in 2007. Learning correct information about safe sex is crucial to our health. In 2008, scientists reported finding a superbug strain of gonorrhea in Japan that is resistant to all recommended antibiotics. Since then, this strain of gonorrhea has spread to Australia, France, Norway, Sweden, and Britain, according to the Globe and Mail. Today I'm going to talk about the sex education in America, the gonorrhea superbug, and why sex education is important to everyone. First, let's talk about sex education and why it's important. Sex education is not a required class in all states. Only 21 states and the District of Columbia requires public schools to teach sex education. However, only 18 states require sex education or curricula to be medically accurate, according to the National Conference of State Legislators. Missouri does not require sex education for students. However, if the class is taught, by law, the program must closely track with federal definition of abstinence-only education, states the Council of State Governments. Many states, including Missouri, give parents the option to opt their children out of the program. Sex, even though it should not be, is an uncomfortable subject for many people to talk about. Taking children out of sex education classes can put them at higher risk for contracting a sexually transmitted disease. Avoiding the subject can only make things worse. Chen Yuan, a professor specializing in women's studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, reports to the South China Morning Post that responsibility for guidance falls on both schools and family. Sex education, if taught accurately, is a great way for students to learn about their bodies. According to the Council of State Governments, research shows that sex education can be beneficial in delaying the first sexual encounter and reducing the number of sexual partners. Reducing the number of sexual partners could also help reduce the number of those affected by sexually transmitted diseases each year. Dr. Miriam Grossman, a former campus psychiatrist at the University of California, explains that sex education, like other public health initiatives, should present the ideals, such as in nutrition. Sexually transmitted diseases affect everyone. As students enter middle school and high school, their bodies are going through many changes that they don't understand. Being informed about the changes our body go through at that age can help them to better understand why sex education is now important to them. If students are presented with the correct information about abstinence and safe sex, they can make more informed decisions when they do decide to have a sexual relationship. Everyone is entitled to getting an education, and if all schools were to offer a sex education course and give all students the same quality information, we would have one less factor contributing to things such as high numbers of people with STDs, teen pregnancy, and new antibiotic-resistant strains of sexually transmitted diseases. Sex education is not just for teens and young adults. As a parent, it is also part of your responsibility to make sure your child is healthy. Although I'm not a parent, I can imagine how stressful talking to your child about sex could possibly be. Staying caught up on information about safe sex and sexually transmitted diseases could help make the topic a little more comfortable to talk about and can help parents keep their children safe. Adults should stay educated not just for their children's safety. Adults should stay but for theirs as well. Now that I have covered sex education, let's talk more about sexually transmitted diseases. This superbug of gonorrhea is a result of too many people not practicing safe sex. Another contributing factor is the over-the-counter availability of low-potency antibiotics in some Asian countries, explains Professor Catherine Ison, who oversees the National Surveillance Program for Treatment of Resistant Gonorrhea in England and Wales. Over time, this strain of gonorrhea has gotten stronger and stronger, creating the superbug. This superbug has transformed through a mutation. The strain is now resistant to all recommended antibiotics. In addition to fighting off the antibiotics, this strain has also developed less noticeable symptoms, which can make it harder for people to recognize the problem. Francis Doe, the World Health Organization's former lead specialist for sexually transmitted infections, explains to the Globe and Mail, If gonorrhea is left untreated, it can lead to many complications: pelvic inflammatory disease, ectopic pregnancy and stillbirth, severe eye infections in babies, and infertility in both men and women, according to the World Health Organization. Many of these complications can lead to permanent health problems, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. More than 700,000 people in the United States get new gonorrhea infections each year. As you can tell, sexually transmitted diseases are becoming more and more of a problem. I shared with you information about sex education in and outside of school settings and over a superbug strain of gonorrhea. So the next time you have an opportunity to learn more about sexually transmitted diseases or sex in general, I hope you take it, because STDs can infect everyone.